Welcome to the Tarot Made Simple, a beginner's journey with the Alchemical Cabala. The past 2 weeks we've been coloring and working with the key 4 of the tarot, the Emperor. This is the key of vision. Here it is. So, please unmute yourselves one at a time and share whatever has been your experience or what's occurred to you with working with this key in the past 2 weeks.
I've been thinking about looking through the his scepter and how in real life when something's far away from me, put my I'll put my finger and my thumb together and look through it to narrow down the view. But then I was thinking, well, you can't always look at the small view. Sometimes you need the big view, but between those two, it makes a balance. And that's what we're supposed to have, a balance of things. So
That's
that's what I
very
was.
interesting. Thank you, Victoria. It's very interesting. Y'all hear what she's saying? The Emperor's looking through this, uh, this hole here in the, yeah, it's an Ankh, and it's also the zodiac sign of Venus, and it's the solar symbol at the very top.
It makes me think of focus, more focus. It's funny that because I think the card mostly represents control or authority, things like that. But to me, this feels more like focus, like what
Mm,
Victoria was saying,
mm,
especially with concentration
mm,
and visualization,
mm.
meditation.
Right. We see that single eye.
Yeah, and
The
I.
last time we met, we were discussing how the Empress and the Emperor are looking towards each other, and it almost seems as if he's looking through that Ankh eyepiece at the Empress.
You're spot on, Patrick. That's perfect. That's exactly what he's doing. That's where his focus is, right? On
Oh, yeah.
that divine love, that divine beauty.
The crossed legs. Uh, doesn't he form the uh, what is it? Is it the male uh, figure, the Saturn?
Alchemical sulfur.
Yes. Thank you, Victoria. It's the cross on the bottom, and you see the top shape of his arms and head form a triangle. So he is in his physical form, um, representing and showing the alchemical symbol of sulfur, exactly like Victoria said, which is the fire element of alchemy.
It also has to do with transmutation, right?
Yes, yes. So the fire is that which purifies, right? And
Right.
consumes. It's the passion, right? The fiery drive. Apparently his focus on the Empress has him very fired up.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure that's true.
Right? Seems to be a lot of pretty much the story.
Well, it is a love story.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So the love from the Empress card carries over here in the grass. And like you said, it's the sign of Venus that is at the top of the thing he's holding. And then he's very foundational, sitting on the cube of space, like the Empress is also sitting on a gray foundation. And then you have the royalty color of purple, and you have you have the mind right behind, which is also running from the Empress card, the mind of God, all that mind stuff. And then you have the fire behind him, the action that the Emperor is, fiery, and all that action with that red. It's very red. So there's a lot of activity going on in this card.
Yes, excellent. Did you
Well,
notice? I'm sorry, go ahead.
is that a two-headed eagle or a phoenix on the
Yeah,
on
good
the
question.
shield?
Good question, right? The red bird here on the shield. uh
Yeah. Is
Yeah,
that
so
considered a phoenix?
I think that that's an appropriate um, interpretation. You could see it as the double-headed eagle risen and red in activity, right? What it's showing is the polarities of the Ida and the Pingala having become one, right?
Mhm.
And and it's a shield if he needs it. Notice he doesn't even need it here. He just has it lying on the ground. I like the white ram of Aries here. Aren't those pictures amazing of how when you see those mountain goats and rams, how they will stand thousands and thousands of feet in the air on these little like tiny little just
3 inches,
ledge
just a couple of
crevices.
inches. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
And then jump to another place. It's
Without
just
worry.
yes. Yes. That is one wonder of nature that is just absolutely incredible.
I will just as a quick addition to that, the because I watched like the other month and I'm like, this is wild. It's the fact that they're up there, thousands of feet up, all to access water with salt because they're looking at because it's like there's the salt content within it and it's also a place of safety. And so when the part that got me is like even the little it's like there's the mother and its child up a couple of thousand feet. Like it's when they're really young is when they were starting to do it. It's like this is amazing.
It
It's wild.
it
But yeah.
is wild. It's like they're operating in a completely different
Hmm.
mind and world.
Yep.
Like it's almost like I don't even know. It's our ideas of how things work. It just kind of throws that out the window.
Drop in the ocean.
Oh, what I was going to ask you, Reverend Rachel, you were talking about the fiery aspect of this. Did you have anything in the past 2 weeks working with your key show up in your life that, if you wish to share, you don't have to, that was fiery or made you think of this key particularly?
It's just been a really crazy last week. We were all like, okay, what's going on? Especially at work. Everything has just been really over the top. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Like, maybe we should go hide for a while.
Uh,
You
got it.
know, it's
A lot
just
of
been,
chaos.
yeah, a lot of a lot of stuff going on all at once. So I'm thinking about the Empress looking at the Emperor and the Emperor looking at the Empress, and it's like the divine feminine and the masculine, and and there's got to be a middle between them. So it just is, she's all quiet and peaceful, and all love in the green card, and then he's all fiery, and you just have the polar opposites, and know that there is a center between them, the middle path probably, right?
It's an
But
excellent observation. Yes, absolutely. Yes. This is the whole story. It's like Patrick said earlier, the love story, right? And the story is in us. I mean, we act it out on the stage in the world with perceived others at times, but it's in the tradition, this is more of the inner, our own masculine and our own feminine, that fiery passion, instead of projecting it outwardly and onto some object of our desire, we rein it back in, right? And this is where the real authority and power is to bring that passionate, desirous nature and focus it inward towards that absolute beauty that is within us.
I had a couple of things I could
Yeah.
share on this if there's yeah, I appreciate the pace. I was actually jotting down just a summary for it because just as a quick aside, yeah, it's been a heck of a 2 weeks right now, and this card is great. I will say the thing that I was about to email you, so I'm going to say right now. Marie Kondo's The Magic Art of Tidying Up is so, it just felt so appropriate for the last, it just, that was making me think of this card because the whole thing of like setting things in order and the vision and all that was there. But anyways, all that aside, just the couple of notes I jotted down from the journaling, which also I should also say too, really appreciate the. I know we've talked about in the past about the importance of journaling and tracking this, noting it. Man, spot on 100% because there's so much. I'm reviewing it now. Because as we're going through these cards, it's like, okay, Sunday night, maybe, and then earlier today, just like, let me just review what's going on. And those things that are forgotten, like, oh yeah, this did happen. This is the thing came out. It's really, really great. But anyways, just what I wanted to share briefly, the couple quick notes I jotted down, and these are going to be a little bit just sporadic statements. So first was competent leadership. There is no room where I do not belong. Peace in the midst of pain, especially because the emperor can't choose every battle. Sometimes it comes to you, and it's not out there; it's within. Another statement here: reorients understanding through revealing, and so that the whole thing with like vision and thought and all that. Two verses that really stood out, and these are the things we can talk about later. Matthew 18:3, which I think many are probably familiar with, and then also Deuteronomy 6, 4 and 5. Those two really jumped
Could
out.
you share could you share the
Yeah,
Matthew verse? Yeah.
yeah, sure. Actually, and this is where I'll share. I actually wrote it down in the journal here. Let me get back to it. There we go. Yeah, just for that. The now I was looking at the for this class here, the Orthodox Jewish Bible. So just looking at the
Okay.
things. So Matthew 18:3 is, and said, O Mayan, I say to you, unless you change inwardly and have a complete turnaround and become like Yeladim, and it's Yeladim, you shall never enter the Malkut Hai Shemaim. So Malkut being Malkut that we're all familiar with, and then Hashem. And just as a quick couple of notes on that, Omayan is another way of so be it, Amen, or truth. And then Yeladim is children or youth. And then Malkut being kingdom, and then sovereignty, royalty, other words associated with that. And then the last bit for the Hashemayim, that's a kind of a newer word there, but for that, that's actually heaven and sky is what it points to. So kingdom of heaven, sky kingdom, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that was Matthew 18:3, because, it's like, we know the, King James Version and all that, but I was like, let's go way back, right? And so
Fantastic.
there was that. Yeah, yeah, man. It was a little time on my hands here. And then the other thing too was and then the Deuteronomy one, that's just, what is it? Oh, ye Israel, love me with all your heart, all your strength, and all your power. Oh, I have it right here. Yeah, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength. That's what it was. And I won't dare do the Jewish pronunciation because it's a lot of words that's for, like I said, other time there. On a quick side note, before I top back to the rest of these notes here, fun little fact, and actually we'll shoot you over this video. The lev, the meaning of lev there, is it uses lamed and bet, and bet being house, and lamed actually in that context meaning father, and so basically lev stands for my father's house. Lev is
Mm,
also the word in Hebrew for heart. And I thought that was a really cool thing. And I was like, ooh, I'm
that's
gonna write that
amazing.
down. It was
Yeah.
I was like, man, this language, man, So, and then just the last few bits here, I had it said it's okay to change. I wrote down here, which I won't read this now, and I could, if there's time, maybe later. But the intro to the Iliad, page one, dude, mind blowing. Like it was so spot on. I was like, oh my, I read it, set it down, and I was like, Jesus. And I went back at it again and actually wrote it out. And then the last few bits here, my existence is sovereign. Existence is sovereign as a whole. I am worthy because I exist. And this is a great, or thing that came up. This is actually shared from someone. I wanted to share it here. In a very long conversation, then came out and she's like, I just have a definition of God that's really coming up right now is God is the unconditional listener. And that really struck. I was like, yes, it was so the unconditional listener without, pretense, judgment, all that stuff. And then the last few bits here, with respect to this card in particular, the aspect of the sword and the stone was coming up, and so that whole right, so that there was that element, and then the last two bits, and I'll wrap this part up here is the underneath behind every, let's say, I use some expletive words here, but just kind of tapping into a different side of the energy, just underneath every like aggression like thing is the primal will and desire to live. It's like a declaration of sorts of just like, you know, affirming existence, if you will. And so in the last bits, there is one emperor, not two. And then the last bit here, clean windows make for clear vision. And so, with all of that being said, and I will just say the exercise I did, which I highly recommend, is because I know we're talking about AI for a brief second. I actually went and I did it was a prompt, it was a series of prompts, and I could nerd about AI at a different time. But basically, using looking at it to help construct a letter from my future self to my present self. So 10 years in the future, right? So it's saying 10 years in the future, if I achieved everything, did everything, said yeses to all the right yeses, no's right, no, all that, what would that future self look like? What would that be? And then what would that letter be to myself? So I was using AI along with another bunch of early stuff to write that. And then I did the polar opposite of that as well, saying, what if I had not done anything and just drifted and all that stuff for 10 years, had that generate, then took a series of, then ran that through saying, give me a series of prompts and reflection questions to get into that. And then that last bit was taking all of that information and then constructing a personal sovereign charter. And that is Article One. It was awesome because basically it was just a very
Yeah.
clear, almost like constitution, if you will, but like personal constitution. But putting that more in the emperor aspect of just looking at it as more of a charter, and it was like so it shall be
Yeah.
decreed, so it shall be governed thing. So yeah, man. So it's been awesome, but a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff.
Wow, AZ. I don't
It's a
That's
trip, man.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope that everyone re-listens to this just for what you just shared, because I'm pretty sure about 3 books could be written on it. Um,
Yeah, man. No
you just
worries. Yeah.
zeroed in on so much of the essence of this key, and I love your prompts to the AI. Um,
The 10-year future
yeah.
letter from self back to
Were
present
you
self. Yeah.
surprised at the response you got?
I wasn't, so I'll say like this, because it's been, and I'll come clean with the fact that like I've been on these things for years. So
Hmm.
I've engaged with it for a number of times. And on top of that too, like I do use it in a way where I think it's probably evident. I know we've been able to we've all been together for years now, where it's like, hey, if we're going, let's freaking go, boom. And so
Right.
like I do go like deep with like, tell me
Yeah.
all the things I would never want to hear, type of thing, right? And so it's
Yeah.
like really peeling the onion, if you will, like getting really deep into it, so that I have a framework for that, and then from there it's there's prompting, then meta prompting. So I do like meta prompting stuff to like really like, if I go like, let's put the pedal to the metal and let's go. So from the standpoint of surprise, there wasn't a whole lot that surprised me, but there were ways certain statements were phrased, or I'd have to like revisit it again, where that really, I thought I was aware and all fine and good, and then some really key statements came through. I was like, Jesus. I'm like, okay, yeah, that it nailed some things that was a little bit nebulous, and just put a really fine point on it. So that's where the function of it came in. And but at the end of the day, I mean, it wasn't so much, like I said, a surprise, but it really helps to shape and
Yes.
structure
Yes. Yes.
ambiguous thoughts, saying like, hey, let's kind of flesh this out, rather
Yes.
than like you tell me what's going on, because
Right.
at the end of the day, it's like you're in the driver's seat for doing it. So there's
Exactly.
that.
I
Mhm.
love it. Thank you,
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, man.
As that I'm going to re-listen to this class just so on just
It's very very kind there.
for,
I was like,
to review everything you just went over. It's spot on. I
yeah,
know
man.
Jason Lauderhan talks about using this intelligence to draft our own personal constitution,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, dude.
Because what we declare is or will
Mm-hmm.
be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and it's not just the word we speak, it's the vision
Mm-hmm.
that we
Mm-hmm.
put our words to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the aspect of vision and sight and setting things in order, that's
Yes.
been a really, because that's, I mean, I don't want to take much more time of my own personal experience of this stuff, but what I will say is that there have been so many things that have been that have, I don't want to say come to light, 'cause it's been there, but just like I can't describe it outside of just like, I just found myself doing certain things and putting certain things in order that I've been meaning to do for so long.
Good.
And then it was like, and a lot of it was, getting rid of certain things and dumping
Yes.
stuff. So it's been
Good.
interesting. Yeah,
Well, you're
man, it's been
definitely on
great.
fire, my friend.
I appreciate
Good,
it, man.
good
Thanks.
work. Thank you for
Appreciate it.
sharing it with us. Anyone else have any experiences with the Emperor the past 2 weeks?
Mhm.
Hello?
Yeah?
We seem to have lost her.
Who?
Uh,
Rachel, you're on mute if you were trying to say something. Still on mute.
It's this new system, man. It's tripping everyone up here.
No, I'm not trying to say anything.
Okay.
All right.
That came through. No worries. Reverend
so on
Genevieve, did
that
you have anything? Is she still with us?
on that issue of using AI
Mhm.
and the the action of your word, and I get using AI for a lot of things,
Mhm.
but when it comes to spiritual insight, spiritual self-awareness. The key there is self-awareness,
Hmm?
and and I I get that there's a point at which you need to be very careful about who is saying what. And if you're just adopting something that a computer is telling you.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I will just say real briefly, that is exactly why I, I'm going to say, for lack of a better term, um, you honesty is paramount, and especially self-honesty, because it is super easy to delude and get lost in the I I'm in a lot of
Oh,
spaces that deal with
I
AI
believe you,
stuff.
and
Yeah, 100%. And a
I'm
lot of
right
people are
there
like, oh, they're
with
telling
you.
me this. Yeah, so that's why it's like honesty is huge, and just being, you take it to what level you want to go, but never forget, your feet are on the ground. You're here. You're in the driver's seat. And just because someone tells you something doesn't mean you have to accept it. You have, again, this card, sovereignty over
Nothing
everything.
Yes.
replaces that
Yeah.
one to one with the self.
Of course.
Exactly.
Of course. Yes.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that, Patrick, because that what you just said,
Mhm.
um, I believe strongly is probably the most important thing we can focus on today in this day and age, because we
Mhm.
are already here, but it's only going to get more so. That we're not going to be able to tell the difference between something that happened or didn't happen just by unless we were present for it with our senses. And and what is going to allow us to discern is if we have contact with self or we don't. So 100% I agree with you. And this future that's unfolding with AI, this for now anyway is inevitable. We're in it. So we have to navigate it with self intact and with sovereignty. So I appreciate both of these points. I think it's super important. And I don't know that enough it I don't know that it feels to me like this conversation exactly should be in every spiritual circle, every psychological circle, and every just human caring circle in the world right now. Because I don't think a lot of people have foreseen this time coming, and now we are here. We're in it. And it's up to people like us to listen and to really, really, really get serious and real with the self. So that because as these things unfold, people are going to need anchors. They're going to need someone that's not just lost in the chaos and the phantasmagoria of of this brave new world, and just anchoring in self every day, whatever the practice is imperative for us. And
Yeah.
the beauty is we all have self, and to the degree that we can, like Easy said, be honest, be sincere with, not fool ourselves, we can serve a great number of others just by being authentic, because that then opens that space in the mind for them to reconnect and tether, right? Because it's these are interesting times, aren't they?
Yeah.
We're
I don't
gonna
know
have
how to swim.
to
Go ahead.
stay really, really grounded, and that's why the Empress is sitting on the gray bench. The Emperor is sitting on the cube of space.
Mm.
But I think it, really important that we can separate ourselves from the noise, a lot of noise, lots and lots of noise, and be able to connect deeply, you know,
Yes.
with
Yes.
with
This is
God.
a good
Yes.
good this is a good part to move forward. Thank you all very much. All right. So, let's see here. Thank you all for sharing your light and your insights. Just a few notes on the Emperor. It's associated with Aries. We know the first fiery sign of the zodiac, which we're about to enter, right? We're about to start our next cycle, and we're starting with a bang, aren't we? Um, as we discussed, he follows the Empress, which is the creative imagination. She brings forth the forms into the world. The Emperor is that in us which brings order to these creations. So the ideal and balanced setting between these aspects within us is that we allow love to guide our authoritative choices, our yeses and our nos. The letter for the Empress is Dalet. In Hebrew, it means door. She's the door through which the breath of life flows into creation. And the Emperor, the letter is the letter He, which means window or wind door. The wind door. And so the wind door is the opening in our house, our dwelling space of presence that uses this vision or this opening. Easy said clear windows allow for clear vision or something to that effect.
Yep, that's right.
And so the emperor is that in us which oversees what comes into existence. Now, I want you to understand this from a very personal and non-personal way, because your own microcosm, your egg of light that that you maintain, you use this power to allow what is able to come into your own personal sphere of vibration, of resonance. So focusing on the emperor will help you bring order and sovereignty from your own sovereign self. This is the thing. No one, you don't, there's no need to create some sovereign self. You are the sovereign self. It's already what you are. It's just the world trains people in certain ways. That in our roles and identities, we think, oh, we have to do this to get that. We have to be this way to be loved. We have to, all the things. But as we mature in our spiritual path, we learn, no, those are just the roles that we identified with. And as we come into our own sovereignty and the more of service we are, we learn that we say yes and we say no. And these are boundaries. And you set the boundaries for your life. You set them. This is one of the protective aspects and the real sovereignty of the emperor, because it doesn't just affect you, it affects the whole world. Every time you set a boundary and stick to it, you're exercising the power of the emperor. It's like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings and that giant Middle Earth. He's like, you will not pass, right? And he stood on it, and it didn't. The same for us. You have the sovereignty. the emperor will show you how to use it. And all you literally have to do is focus on the key. It brings it forth from within you. So the Empress is the causative plane in the tarot. It's where everything that will be or could be first originates, just below the spiritual plane. The Emperor is the one that says yes or no on what comes through that stream of consciousness, the river, going into creation. And this is your own world. So, again, focusing on the Emperor allows you to use your own higher inner vision. It will trigger it, it will fire it up and activate it. And then you learn to trust that. And when you use this, you will start automatically bringing more order to your own interior world, which will then be reflected in your outer world. On the tree, the emperor connects wisdom, or hokmah, to beauty, the heart. So we see the golden cross right there at the heart level. And that power sphere of Mars right holding it in the solar plexus area. So that might be something you like to explore in your meditations. And if there's one thing I want you to keep, I'd like you to keep as much as you will. But if you remember anything about this key, I want you to remember this. This is true for anything that you use in your own spiritual work and vision. One of my best teachers told me this many times. We see what we look at, not what we look for. So one way to use this is this. If you want to make contact with, let's say any entity or being that you trust or guide. Like in Christianity, we have Jesus and Mary, just for example, right? And you have an image of the Master, or you have an image of the Mother. In your inner vision, hold that vision there. What you're doing is you're looking at an image of the Mother, and you're generating that in your inner knowing. You don't have to be super great at visualizing. Just using your knowing will bring up the imagery. And if you need help, then that's what these keys are for. That's literally what they're for. So, holding this in your vision, this is why the alchemical Cabala practice, the core practice, is you hold the vision up here in front of you, and then you close your eyes and you hold it as long as you can. What this does is if you persist in it, it creates a doorway that the intelligence that is the Divine Mother or the Emperor here, if you use this key, it becomes an interface for the superconscious self to speak to your self-conscious mind through your own subconscious. And this is the beauty and the magic of real inner vision of the tarot. It's this simple way to use the keys to connect so that your gnosis becomes your gnosis. You're not just reading it out of somebody else's experience. And then you keep the journal, and now you are serving in the world as another outlet for greater light and wisdom to come forth into the world. Plus, you're guided in this way. All right, it's enough of that. Let's look at this next week's key real quick. This is going to be our key for the next 2 weeks, which aligns perfectly with what we were speaking of about really having contact with self. This is the key you're going to color the next 2 weeks and meditate on and focus on. So I just want you to just gaze at the key briefly, wherever your attention goes to it. Just follow that, and then please unmute yourselves one at a time and just share the one thing on the teacher key.
The crescent moon that's at his throat.
Lovely. Thank you, Victoria.
The four, this really just jumped out. The pattern at the teacher's feet, the four circles, like with the four
Hmm.
crosses,
Yes.
just that pattern was there, and then which also my eyes just sort of left, and it was the five roses on one of the robes. But anyways, the four circles is really what jumped out at me. For
Thank
it.
you, Easy.
The keys to the king are at
Oh, go
the
ahead.
teacher's feet.
The keys here. Yes.
Keys to the kingdom. Yep.
Hmm.
It may be silly, but the thing that pops out to me are those two bald heads.
Yeah. Well, it's not silly. That's that's Keter. That's the crown, right?
Yeah.
And yeah.
The devotees, the discipline and devotion.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
His scepter popped out to me, I guess because we were on the theme since the Empress.
Nice. Yes. Yes. His scepter goes, it covers the whole tree. It's the whole four worlds, the Yod He Vav He, and goes from the very top all the way down.
The teacher himself and the way he's seated, that stuck out to me.
What was it, Miriam?
The teacher himself,
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
and
Absolutely.
yeah, seems to have some authority.
Yes. Thank you.
Mhm. Sure.
Does he have crosses on his hands?
He does.
Two on the hands, two on the feet.
And his feet.
Wait.
Yeah, there are 10 crosses altogether.
That's a great
Mhm.
pickup, Victoria. Thank you. I like how he's holding his hand at heart level.
What is the symbology of the way he's holding that right hand?
As
Yeah.
above.
It's a mudra.
This one? Go ahead, Reverend Genevieve. Go ahead.
Not all is revealed. Not all is revealed. The devil card opens a complete hand. That the devil's going to give you everything, all the information, but that's the lie.
I think the other hand is hidden, isn't it?
On the devil, you mean?
Yeah.
The other hand's holding a torch, lighting the
The tail
the
or something.
self-conscious lower half up.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Excellent. Those are all excellent, excellent points. So, all right. Thank you all for sharing your presence and your light this next 2 weeks with the teacher key. Trust in the greater one within you. Listen. Listen within. Listen until you hear. And when you hear trust, thank you for your presence and light. This concludes this class on the Emperor with the Tarot made simple and the Alchemical Cabala. Floor is now open for any questions or comments.